Siddharam everybody, welcome to our last session. I feel as these 5 nights pass so quick. Our last session of this Digmas Gyan Yagna, Lord Vishnu Gyan Yagna. This morning we had a wonderful session. For those of you that had the opportunity to be together with me, we did Nursing Shaligram Puja, Vishnu Bhagwan Murti Puja, Havan, and the discourse taken from Padma Puran that showed the Mahima or the greatness of this particular Ekadasi. My niece came after and she was saying, well, Mamu, every month we have Ekadasi, every time we have Ekadasi. And I thought to myself, this is how a child will think. Especially a child who has some idea. Imagine there are children who don't know about Ekadasi. She says, and isn't that when we don't eat grains? No beans, so that means no red bean today. You say, yes, no red bean today. The importance of today and why I did this yagna this time. Today is the Ekadasi of something called Papan Kush. And I gave the discourse. If you want to see it, it's on Facebook. You can go on my page and view it at your discretion. But my advice is, if you could do it today and still witness that puja, it still isn't late for you. Nutshell version, Papan Kush comes in the month of Ashwin, in the bright half. But Purushottam Ekadasi, which is also today, comes every 3 years when a big mass comes. And this particular Ekadasi is known to relieve the sin, the burden of a person. So, by the grace of God, we got to chant verses, stotra, calling on Lord Vishnu as Padmanabhya. That particular form where he has the flower growing from his navel. That is the name of the form we worship today. And for the benefit of those that were there and for those that will watch the repeat, for those that are watching this and that episode on YouTube, this is why we did what we did. This evening, as we do our final session, we are going to do a discourse taken from Padma Puran, Kriya Yog Sar Kand of Padma Puran, section 7 of the Kriya Yog, chapter 12. Chapter 12, for those people that would like to find that text and read up on it yourself. The name of this chapter is the Mahima of the fig tree. The greatness of the fig tree is what we're going to talk about this evening. Before we finish, we must do little Gita part as we conclude our yagya. Now, one of the reasons why I did this, I wanted to do this. I was waiting for the year since the year started, to be honest. And I planned, for those of you looking on all over the world, I know Ajay is watching me from India, and he, just as in Guyana, they have different recipes, what we might call 7 curry, for all my friends looking on. In Trinidad, that might sound very strange to a child, but having tasted it myself, it is a beautiful dish. Some of the dishes that we make in Trinidad, it is new to India. Chole and Batura, it originated in Princestown in the form of doubles. The first time I went to India, you couldn't get that. That was not around. But now, what we might call chana doubles, chole, that is one of the most popular things sweeping in India. In this yagna, it was a surprise to see yet again, I'm doing yagna again, and brothers and sisters are reaching out from India, and they are amazed at how in the West Indian side of things, how we maintained our dharma, how we maintained who we are, our identity, and the way, the vigor in which we do our prayer. On behalf of the ashram, I was complimented by, when we went Baroda in March of this year, Vadodara, in the university we had to speak, me and Shivanand Maharaj of the Shiv Sangeet School of Music. We spoke about, I spoke on religion, he spoke on music. And coming from our side, they were so impressed by us that memorandums of understanding were drawn up together to offer at the ashram here, and together with the School of Music, teaching in Trinidad, so that our children can get certificates certified by the universities of Baroda, because they think we were doing great works. Tonight, before I begin, I want to make mention of the great works parents to maintain the value systems that we have. It's not the pundit, it's not the music teacher or the guru, as I call him. We can't do it alone. The teacher in the school can't do it alone. Without parents, all of us, we have nothing, we are nothing, we can't do anything. And the children, they lose out in the long run. With COVID now, plans changed, classes were suspended with the ashram and Hindi. And we became even a member of the on the list with the Ministry of Community Development to offer training. Everything, because of COVID now, is on pause. But I spoke to Shivanand Maharaj Guruji about restarting class, at least on Zoom or some medium, where he could still teach children and keep them in that gear until we can do better. Tonight, as you are looking on, send me a comment. Do you think this could work? Do you think it's a good idea? Before we try, I am soliciting your opinion. Please send me your opinion. Do you think the music class makes sense? And I'm talking about sitar, sarangi, violin, harmonium, keyboard, dolak, tabla, you name it. But it is something on my mind because I feel like time is going and these children are growing up and they are becoming the lost ones. They are the losers, I have to say, because they are losing an opportunity to access a university in India that we've arranged everything. And people like Professor Rajesh Kalkar and others are just waiting to share their expertise, their syllabus, as well as their certificates. Parents tonight, those of you looking on, I told Guruji it's a blessing that we have this online thing, because now maybe we can offer the music class to those of you abroad. So I'm appealing to you who is watching live and who will watch after. Leave me a message, because we don't know what to do. We want to do the right thing, but we don't know if it's the right time or the right way. Guide us. Me and Shivanand Maharaj, we want to get back going. So please, I leave this in your capable hands. Please send me a message. Now that our Yagna is about to be completed, we have the time to focus on these things. Tonight, as we are about to begin, I'm so happy today, this Ekadasi, that we got to spend time, morning and evening together. Let's get ready to enter into our discourse. Join your hands together, everybody, as we say a simple prayer. Hari Om Gajananam Bhutaganadi Sevitam Kapeta Jumbo
Panachara Bhakshitam
Umasutam Sho
Kavinashakarakam
Namami Viganeshwara
Parapankajam
Sarvamangalamangalye
Shive Sarvata Sarike
Sharanye
Trayambike Gauri
Narayani
Namostute
Om Anadini Dhano Deva Shankar Chakra Gada
Dhara
Akshay Pundarikaksham Preta Moksha Pradobhavam Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Let's join together. As we do, simple chant. As it's our last night, Krishnam Vishnam Sridharam Madhavam Madhusudanam Krishnam Vishnam Sridharam Madhavam Madhusudanam Govindam Hari Govindam Govindam Hari Govindam Govindam Shri Ramam Govindam Shri Ramam 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 Raghupati Ramam Ramam Raghupati Ramam Ramam Raghupati Krishnam Vishnam Sridharam Madhavam Madhusudanam Krishnam Vishnam Sridharam Madhavam Madhusudanam Govindam Hari Govindam Govindam Hari Govindam Govindam Shri Ramam Govindam Shri Ramam Govindam Shri Ramam 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 Raghupati Ramam Ramam Raghupati Ramam Ramam Raghupati Ramam Ramam Raghupati Krishnam Vishnam Sridharam Madhavam Madhusudanam Madhavam Madhusudanam Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai. Tonight, as we join together, let me first reflect on what we've been talking about. So the first night, we spoke about Adhik Mas, the benefit, what is Purushottam Mas and how it became, as Rukmani wanted to know, why is this month so dear to you, Lord Krishna? And the history of how he said that he would remain in the month, and anybody, it answered that night, it answered the question, can I light my diya? Can I offer my dance? Should I offer turban? Should I do havan? And he says, this month, if a person does not do some austerity, some goodness, you will be impoverished. When people are going through poverty and they want to better themselves, and when this Yagna closes, I want to remind you that till the 16th of October, it's still a Adhik Mas. You still have time. So he says to Rukmini, during this month, a person should do worship to me. There are things, he says, Rukmini, like wedding, going into house, blessing vehicles, buying vehicles, these things not to be done. So there are some rules. But when it comes to that personal prayer, as we said, this is an ideal month for that. Then we did on the second night the discourse that dealt with where Bhrigu Muni, the son of Lord Brahma, went to test Lord Shiva, Brahma and Vishnu to see who should be the main devta in a yagya. And we heard how Lord Shiva got shrap and he would one day become the lingam. And this is why, and because of that discourse, in every temple we have Lord Shiva having so many incarnations. But we only know him as the lingam. Meaning to say, if I ask you tonight, how does Shankar Bhagwan, Mahadev, Kailash Pati, what are the marks? How does that form look? There's a form where half Lord Vishnu, half Shiva. There's a form half Mother Parvati, half Shiva. There's a form where Lord Shiva as a male, he is looking as a female. In the Sai organization, Sai Baba himself gave the Vardhan, gave the darshan. One day you could see male garb, and then female, he's dressed in female, but you know it's same Sai Baba. But we only know Lord Shiva. In none of these forms, in these murtis, we don't worship him when we have yagya. What we do? Small puja, big puja, yagya, whatsoever, sanskar, the lingam must be there. That night we also heard why Brahma received a shrap that nobody should do his puja. And Lord Vishnu is given the autonomy as the main devta in all yagna because of that discourse we did. If you missed it, all our satsang are going to be loaded. It's now on Facebook. It's going to be loaded on my YouTube channel. Search my name, Keshava Gosine. Subscribe to the channel and you'll be able to view all that I am referring to. The next night, we did that discourse where, from Devi Bhagwat, where Lord Vishnu receives because of something he did. Again, we refer to Bhrigu Muni. And Bhrigu Muni gives him a shrap that you will have to incarnate 10 times, 10 avatar. And he takes these forms because in Gita he makes a statement, yada yada hi dharmasya, that from time to time when unrighteousness is on the rise and righteousness is on the decline, I will manifest to save the earth and to save everybody. But the question was, why of all the forms, of all the devtas, of the Holy Trinity, why is he the person to do it? After all, Hanumanji comes as Lord Shiva is said to incarnate to help Sri Ram fulfill his Leela. That's what we hear in Ramayana. So that night we heard why now he has to come. And in his coming, it's not that it is always pleasant. He has to go through separation from Sita Mata. In the Varaha form, I had said that he has to separate from Ghora and his other sons. There are little moments of pain in the Christian discussion, also painful. So we learned the history of that 10 forms and why that was so. Then last night, I went on to do one of the 10 forms. We know Ram and we know Krishna very well. But one of the 10 forms is Buddha. That's the 9th form of Lord Vishnu. But the question that was asked to me was, how come Buddha is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu? But I don't see Buddha Murti in the typical Hindu temple. And we went through that, and what it did was it explained where, according to the Hindu explanation, where other religions come from. Someone, Darren Ramnath from St. Julian, my good friend, my dear boy, he asked if in other religion, if they would teach the Vedic knowledge, the injunctions that we have. And the answer is no. Because in those ways, the way it is written, the way Lord Vishnu gives his directive, he says, give them false teachings. In the sense that an easier method that will bring some blessings. I'm not saying if you go and you read the Bible, there will not be good. or the Quran, there wouldn't be good or there wouldn't be blessing, but it would not give you the salvation that you are looking for in terms of Hinduism, meaning beyond karma, beyond the samsara. There's good in everything. God is in everything. Lord Krishna, we said in Bhagavad Gita, I read it last night, he says, I, of all the gods, I am all the gods. When you pray to all of them, you're praying to me, it's just you don't realize. And all gods mean all gods. So in essence, it shows why the Hindu does not condemn, why the Hindu does not criticize. As a Hindu, we are given the opportunity to be born into this dharma. Because of your good karma, you have worked very hard to achieve this status. What is this status about? Is it only to put up the jandi, to dress like us, to eat takari and food like us? No. It is the rules and the regulations that give you a higher platform. It says that when you're doing Vishnu Puja, even when a person taunts you, even when somebody is ridiculing you, read chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita, and the person is able to hold back and not let loose like an animal, ahimsa, then you're a Hindu. The person who worships his elders, the person who worships, imagine what Hindus do. I love you as my mother, I love you as my parent, I loved you as when you were alive. Although you are not alive anymore, although your soul is with God, year after year, I still love you. And you know what? I continue to pray for you. The bond, that relationship does not end with the physical person. These things make you a Hindu. And with that type of etiquette, with that type of training, a person is able to reach far. What about vegetarianism? The idea that an animal feels pain. The idea of compassion. Abstention from beef. These things make you a Hindu. The belief that God is here, there and everywhere, Sitaram. This is unique to Hinduism because it means I am bowing. Do you know this? Do you know what I'm talking about? Tonight, if you know what I'm talking about, do you tell people Sitaram? Tell me if you know what this means. Send me a comment. Share this live tonight before we get into this wonderful discourse. Many Hindus do this. Sitaram Baba, Sitaram. Some people do it under the belly, I don't know why. But the correct way is up here. For those of you who know, tell me, what does that mean? What does Sitaram, when you do this, what that? Before I answer the question. We talked about knowing your identity and the value of what you have. So you remain with what you have, because he says when you give up that, just as in the discourse the demons gave it up, it is as if you're giving up your clothes, your protection. With the principles, your dharma is your principles. When you lose those principles, you will act in accordance. In Gita he says, people who are demonic, they never know what is the right activity. So they act crazy. And that craziness causes a person's soul to fall from one demonic womb into the other. You just go down the ladder instead of you climbing. And you don't want to de-evolve. You don't want to go from man to animal to, let's say, amoeba, multicellular, single-cellular organism. But I want to evolve. I want to get better, better and better. So, with the right thinking, with your mind, remember we spoke a lot about the purity of your mind. When Shavian Muni, the night before, not last night, night before, tells Prahalad, you could go to the best Tirat, you could go to the best Ganga, Yamuna, whatever, and your mind is not pure, that place is not going to benefit you. If you want maximum benefit, let your mind be purified, let your mind be evolved, and with that heightened realization, you're going to climb the ladder. But if your mind is very base and your thinking is very low, I could read what I want, we can have what singing, you can do what charity, but you are not going to see the change because you are not ready to change. Last night I talked about it when he says in chapter 12, when the person is ready to come to me, when the person resolves, and I mentioned how, in my experience as a pundit, and when I went to India, whenever we go back and we go to ashrams and places like Sai Baba Ashram, and you see how people are drawn to Baba's worship, his singing, his place, the good work that he's doing, continues to do, the different hospitals and so on. Then you go and you see what is being done all over. And you're in amazement to see how people are being now for themselves. Nobody's saying you have to, in order to get the free food, in order to get the hamper, as we say in Trinidad, in order to get the hamper, you have to join the ashram, you have to join the temple, you have to, no, nobody is saying that. Sometimes people get angry when they don't get in, to be honest. This Sanatan Dharma is like a VIP club. You have to be born into it. And if you want to enter as a newcomer, you have to prove yourself. You have to do training. You have to do, you have to assign yourself to a guru and hope that Guruji will smile upon you and say, okay, now you have entrance into this dharma, into this denomination, into this way. Permission has to be granted by a teacher. That is the correct way. Now you are able to do worship. Now you are able to wear tilak and chandan and so on. And in Trinidad, there is a vast amount of Negro people, Chinese people, white people, all over the world. They are doing yoga, they are doing meditation, they are doing Hawan. In Russia, I have a good friend of mine who I do press for. He's a member of the trade show. He's from India, in Mathura, and he now lives in Trinidad. His brother, he's running a trade show in Russia. And Russian culture is bombarded now by Indian Hindu culture. Puja as well as the culture, the dress, the cook, the art of Vastu Shastra. What we might say in Chinese is feng shui, how to build your home. The front door should be facing east. When I'm sitting on the toilet, I should not be facing east. The husband and wife, with all due respect, should not be sleeping in the northeast corner of the home, because that is your Devta corner. That is where your prayer room or prayer shelf should be. There in that northeast corner, we on the land now go outside. The northeast corner is where we are supposed to have the jandi. They are following those things in building their homes. When you go England and you ask somebody what is the national food of England, if you go America, you would see different types of steak. You might see pizza. You might see all fast food living there. But in England, the national dish is curry. For those of you in the UK, London, Surrey, and other parts, tell me, isn't it common whenever you go to a village, from one village to the next, is always have a northeastern or a southeast, a South Indian restaurant? When I go England, I stay in Bagshot in Surrey County, and I've never tasted Indian food like that. It's wonderful. Compliments to the UK people. They know how to cook. Our culture, our religion, believe it or not, is being subscribed to greatly, because it is giving people the peace and the answers that they are yearning for. People that have knocked about and been born in different religions are now coming to us for answers. Even in our local culture, my mother used to tell me about how people used to shame, they used to hide when they take the flour bag and wrap the roti and the plantain. Shame. Mommy sent roti today. And other races would pick on the roti. Dear friends, for all the business people looking on tonight, who is running down roti more than anything now? Roti is anything to be shamed of. For all my brothers and sisters making roti to sell, is it only Hindu people? Is it only Indian people coming to buy paratha roti? Is our dharma, and this is where I'm going, is our dharma, is our religion, dharma, religion and culture, which is something different, Culture is beyond the religion. Our dress code, our food, our delicacies, our recipes. Do you still think this is something to be ashamed about? The first night I spoke about the influence of missionaries coming into our culture, especially in the West Indies, the colonial system, and telling us that our dharma is substandard. Our religion is you like an idea? That's stupidness. Leave your way and come my way. In a nutshell. And the amazing thing is, whilst other races walked away from their traditions, Hindus, especially in the West Indies, for those of you looking on in India, looking on in Africa, looking on in Australia, the West Indian Hindu held on to what they are and what they have. Till today now, where we are being recognized for the sacrifice that we make now through the High Commission of Trinidad, the Indian High Commission to Trinidad, the honorable ambassadors, they take it upon themselves to give our children, let's say pre-COVID, to give our children opportunities to go back, and we thank the Indian government for what they extend to our people and our children, giving them the opportunity to study science, language, and all sorts of areas and fields to maintain the link with Bharat, India. Do you really think what you have is substandard? Tell me tonight, do people still ridicule you for being Indian or Kuli? Now I see cocaine room selling on the highway. I don't know. Now everybody's rushing for what we have. Now I see people, my good friend Uttam, one of the few genuine rice planters in Trinidad. Uttam is making sahina pre-wrapped with the mixture cut, sealed, secured, very, very perfect, selling in the refrigerators of all major groceries. And he could never make it up. From my view, my humble view, forgive me, but I'm taking the time to talk about this because we need to solidify us. And don't let it erode. Don't let it happen under your watch, parents. Children need to value who they are and what they are and what they have. If we do not teach them, then they will never value it. If you don't teach a child a Rolex is something of value, they will teach it, they will treat it like a toy. Mash it up, pelt it, if you understand what I mean. Tonight in our discourse, as we move on from last night with Buddha and the role these other religions, I'm saying it again, we are not supposed to criticize, focus on us. Grow your about which path we take once the end point, we reach the final destination is God. We must not be petty. When we say Sitaram, Sitaram, I bow to the God. When Hanuman Baba ripped open his chest and he had Ram and Sita, I bow to the God in you. Do you only bow to the God in people that look like you or pray like you? Then you need to expand your thinking. You worry about who you are and what you do. Improve what you do. You leave the judging, chapter 12, chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita, leave the judging to God. Be focused on what you are doing and get that right. There are some people that are so busy. He call himself a Christian. You see how he just be? Is that a Muslim? You see how he just be? Focus on yours. If people could only hone their energies and their eyesight on their own children, then many homes would be saved. Instead of making karma by damning other people's children, regardless of race, religion, whatever is the background. If you bless those children, blessings will flow to you. How you give, so you get. If you uplift those children and those homes, if you help them, regardless of religion, race, background, one day God is going to send that same blessing right back to you. And we need to do our part. You see, in these tumultuous times, in these times that is coming up here, whether COVID, when you look at the economy, budget day is coming and everybody is afraid, change is coming. We don't know what to expect, but you know it's something bad. We need to focus on our families. This COVID, I'm not saying a disease, I have to say this before I say what I want to say. COVID is not a good thing. Baba is not saying that a disease is good or that people getting sick is good. Please be clear. But you see the effect that we no longer have the partying and that lifestyle, and what we have is to stay home and focus on our families. People are planting their little kitchen garden. People are very conscious of cleanliness. The husband had to do yard work and housework, things that he never get to do, he had to do it now. But the families together never like. You see, that is a blessing. I think so. Tonight, we enter into a discourse where we are reading from, again, for those of you that came in late, Kriya Yog Sar of Kand of the Padma Puran, chapter 12, section 7, chapter 12. This chapter, the name is The Greatness of the Holy Fig Tree. Tonight I want to make mention of the Dalit family of New York, and I just want to say that may God bless Pulvasia Dalit, who has now gone on, a mother, a great individual that made many sacrifices for her 8 children. And God bless that soul wherever she's going today, as we do reading, as we have done puja. We pray for her and many others. If you would like me to make mention of anybody, please send me a message now. If there's anybody in the hospital system, I know there is a guy by the name of Tony Singh who is in a hospital in Italy. He's an engineer that went over there to mix gas, and he got sick. I'm not sure if it's COVID, but to his family, for those of you that are worried, may God bless him and allow him to recuperate. I know he's improving, but in slow increments, but he'll come back. Tonight we enter where Vyas Muni is speaking to Jaimini Rishi about Vishnu's worship. And tonight you're going to also hear about things that you could do. As we get into this part, I want to explain why I'm reading about the fig tree. Many people are asking for simple things, little things that I could do to help myself. And I've been trying to show simple methods, little things that you could employ within yourself. So far, I have not given to you anything that requires a punishment. Be fair. This is you and yours. This is you living abroad. What could I do? Baba can't reach right now. Nobody's traveling. What could I do? And I'm trying to elucidate things that you maybe knew, maybe did not know, that we could do to better yourself. Tonight we're going to hear a little more detail about that. Many people have the fig tree in the Bedi. Anytime I go to New York, and I usually stay in Long Island, but I would go and do prayers in Brooklyn and Queens and whatever. And we go and we would buy the little fig tree in a pot. When I'm in Florida, we go buy BDCs, you'll get it in a pot, and they'll put it on the Bedi and do puja. But what about after with the fig tree? And why is the fig tree there in the first place? What is the value of this plant being there? What is the purpose? And in doing it, you're going to hear and get blessings. Let's join together as we do our first slok, as we get into our discourse tonight, as Vyas Muni is answering questions about what is to be done to Lord Vishnu. What is done for him and how do you get the blessings? Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatma Namo Namah. Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatmaya Namo Namah. Chitlekhatam Gyana Pautra Vaishakamas Krishna Ye Yogni Yayo Vyasarajan Dwarakanath Kripale Pali Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatma Namo Namah Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatma Namo Namah. Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. Vyas Muni says, the devotee of Lord Vishnu should worship in the month of Falgun. The month of Falgun is the Hindu month that goes between the latter half of February to the early part of March. Devotedly, he should worship Mahavishnu, which is that form that is saluted by all gods, as we heard about why he is the main form in the Yagna. In this way, the person, listen properly to the fruit which a person can derive by bathing the son of Devaki, Krishna, in this month. A person having received the fruit of this amount of benefit, punyam, prayer, when done properly, is freed of all sins and ends up into the home of Lord Vishnu. When he has enjoyed a great amount of blessings for thousands of yug in Vaikuntha, then the only option for such a person is to merge within the body of Lord Vishnu himself, mukti, moksha. He who offers in the winter months, for those of you that are abroad, in Trinidad we are talking obviously November, December, different types of sweets that are made with sesame. A simple example would be the batasa that we locally make with sesame seed, like what we tili cake, what we offer to Mother Saraswati Puja, or their laddu, where they, what we in Trinidad and Tobago, the Tobago Hindu Society, Sitaram, tonight, Tobago, what we call where it's rolled with pa. Offer these things to the cow Hoda, Bal Krishna, the baby form, and that person goes to Vaikuntha. He who offers the different ball that is made from ghee, sometimes they crust around with from grind rice, they use sugar, and in a quick way they make it with oil, with ghee and oil, and bring it together. Sweet balls that are coated in ghee to Lord Vishnu, that person always drinks nectar, amrit, in the heavenly region for hundreds of manu years. The person who is able to cut off all bad habit, and I just want to make a very clear point here. If you have an addiction, if there is a person in your life, a child or somebody that has an addiction, and the question that some people ask, what could be done to help a person walk away from that addiction? There is prayer. He says in this example, this is something else. If you wish to cut off the bond to needless attachments or needless addictions, offer candied sugar, meaning pag, boil it like what we make with jalebi, or you make candy, meaning pag that gets back solidified. This is where we end up with batasa or jaimani. Let them offer that to him using prescribed mantras, and that person would of their own accord walk away from this type of affliction. A person who offers fruits to God goes to all forms of heaven depending on where he wishes to go. The person who takes raw sugar and offers it to Krishna, when that person, long time before the fixation on sweet rice, pundits used to take the ghee and mix it to sugar, and they would dip with mango leaves, at least in the Trinidad culture. I know in Suriname they do it a little different, but basically sugar mixed together with things. This was one of the reasons why they would do it. The person who offers pure sugar to Lord Krsna gains his grace, and when in trouble and he needs help, before he can ask for help, that help will come. Just to put it in a way for you to understand. Have you ever gotten a flat tire? Especially for the ladies there. You get a flat tire, you jump on, you walk to the flabbergasted, you're confused, you're looking around, you're watching to see which tire, what just happened. I don't know how to change a tire. As I just tell my sisters and now my wife, you went to learn to drive, but did you learn how to change a tire? So, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. Then it hit you, I don't know how to change a tire. I don't know what to do. And without asking somebody, a helpful person, male or female, old, whatever, God has sent somebody. Did you ask for that help? Did you say, God, please send somebody? But in your life, day in, day out, if you pay attention, God sends people to save you. It's just sometimes we don't make the time to admit or to acknowledge that. But if a person wants that type of, I'm doing this now, when you watch your terrier, when Baba come by you, and we just have rice, sugar, gogol and other things in that terrier, what is that sugar for? When I'm going to offer the Hawan, why is that sugar there? What's that sugar? One chamber have sugar, nothing needs sugar again. This is why. When I in His grace to save you, when, without asking for help, help will come. Listen to the person, listen to the benefit or Germany for the person who is ripe fruit in the various months. He says, let me make sure I read it. The person who is able to offer ripe berry fruit. Now I have seen that in some parts of India, the tree fruit, the little just taken out here. Badari fruit. To Lord in the month of Fall, wondered what is Badari fruit? They call it dongs tree. As a child to eat dongs, that's Badari. And then you take those fruits and you offer it to Krishna. Somebody has I've ever heard that you could offer dongs, and yes, fruit is yes. Padma Puran, it is of Lord Krishna, and the leaves and branches of those trees at Jare, at Kapari, headache, one side of the headache. You know, we believe that sometimes when you sleep too late, for children out there, when you sleep too late, you get headache, or for the young girls, when the hair is falling, they use the branches of the dongs tree, or what we call badari tree, to dari, and then you burn it after, to rid yourself of that problem. Along with sons and grandsons, happily, this person is able to what? Live in peace. So if you have a dongs tree at home, or you have access to such fruit, and you find sometimes that have little cuts in the family, when you're doing your dar, put a dongs in it. Sounds strange, eh? But I have to feed God. I want Him to be happy with me. When you're taking out your prasad and dongs happen to be in season, put a couple of dongs for your Krishna. And when offering it, and you offer it Him and you leave it by His murti, or you offer it Him the hawan that you're doing, peace in the family. So again, let's go again. That peace will follow him until he or she departs this life. A man should not give fruit mixed together. There are some people who do recipes where they want to candy or glaze the fruit. They should not do that. Leave it as the fruit as is. A person who offers ripe anar, or what we call pomegranate, so long as as much as there are many seeds in the fruit, so long he's going to live with Lord Vishnu. The person who takes flour and molasses, the unprocessed molasses, and boil them together and make, whether you call it the lapsi recipe, which is very tacky and soft, or the prasad, meaning you're making mohanbhog with molasses instead of sugar and these things, that person is getting the blessing as if he had done 1,000 Ashram Yagna. So for the person who wants to achieve land, the person who wants to win favor of land, the person Ashram Yagna is the horse sacrifice, where they used to release the horse, and so far as the horse going, where the horse stopped, that's your bound. So for people who want to gain land, gain property, maybe you have a court matter and you have you want a positive outcome, then you're going to make mixture like this, but you're going to put molasses into the Mahanbhog, and we'll do Vishnu Puja. But it must be done in the month of February. If it cannot be done in February, on the Dwadasi day, in different month, a person could use this together with proper mantras to that particular form of Lord Vishnu, and you'll be able to get the outcome that you want. If a person should bathe the Murti of Lord Vishnu with honey in the month of Chaitra, which is half of March to half of April, the person, when the life has left the body, Yamraj cannot touch him. And when he reaches at the end of the year to the place where he's going to be judged, he is transformed, Anamaya, he is transformed into the image and likeness of Lord Vishnu. You become the similarity, the same like Lord Vishnu. And when you go to Vaikuntha, you become one and part of that same God. When in the month of Chaitra, the person who worships Krishna with something that is called tilak flowers. Tilak flowers is a family to, you see, if you plant, devotees, if you plant sesame seed and the till is growing in pods, the flower is growing like a little kind of trumpet kind of flower. So it's very delicate. Tilak flowers, sesame seed flowers, one and the same. The same species, just different variety. They are purple, white, yellow, different things. But you use those flowers and you put it by Lord Krishna. And what happens is, the person who does not want to be reborn again, that person is going from. So for this reason, long ago Hindus would have at least, I'm not planting a field of sesame seed, but I'm planting one or two to get the fruits in my plant. And when older people would go to pick flowers, what I'm talking about here tonight, I want you to appreciate this here. I tell you, go flowers for my Durga. I have Datur for bring Madar flower, Durga, not even various flowers for winters, but many times flowers to use your Vishnu. This is coming out with tonight. Black Ashoka flower. The black Ashoka, the Ashoka has two species. The one in Trinidad where the branches are like this, that you don't see flowers on that too often. And then there's a Ashoka that grows across and then up. And it isn't always black. The Ashoka flower sometimes could be like a red, but it has a variety where it is very dark. I don't want to say black, not black as this word is saying, but dark red. It sometimes can look sooty red. But that flower, the person who offers that Ashoka flowers to Lord Krishna, there is never a time where he's happy and then sudden accident, sudden incident, sudden sickness, sudden cut, something that happens to bring calamity and worries to that family. That will never come to them. Those people that plant Ashoka trees with the broad variety, I'll take a picture and I'll put it up on Facebook for you to see it. The broad variety where you could see somebody climbing the tree there, not the sloping one, not that one. And they plant it in their yard and they get, what are you planting it for? This is the tree that we refer to in the Ashoka Vatika in Ramayana discourse, where Hanumanji is sitting propped on the branch and he's listening. You know the other tree that is like this. Could anybody sit on a branch on that tree? Think about what you're saying. Hanumanji goes in a minute form on the, as per the Ramayana, Tulsidas Ramayana, Jwalapasad Ramayana, and sits on the tree and is basically listening to what's going on with Sita Mata and the demoness from in the place. He sees when Ravan comes to approach her. He sees all that. If a person has to sit on a branch, could the branch be like this? There's a species, I have one growing in Hindustan, but it exists in India and other temperate Asian countries, but it is in Trinidad. And it is broad. It grows very broad across like this and then up. That you get the flowers. When a person plants these type of trees, know what you're planting it for. It has the fragrance, and when I give water, I get back blessing. From this black Ashoka flowers, Meriton syrup, which is like something they use to boost your energy, your metabolism, It's something that is popular in other people. In the States you get it. I think in St. Lucie in Florida you get it. This is where it is coming from. Remember, a major part of Dharma in the Yajurveda, Atharvaveda, sorry, you will come across things like Ayurvedic. You will come across where Mother Durga says, I will sit in the plants and with my Shakti I will give you the healing potencies to assist you in your prayer. For this reason, don't offer or what we call saffron, what we would offer in terms of dudgrass and all these other species of plants that have healing powers that help you overcome sickness and difficulty. Mother is looking out for you there. That's why we worship and is looking to help. Nowadays, as the Western world has done research in terms of moringa, in terms of Saijam, now people want it. Now people are doing research into dudgrass. Now people want that too. People are doing research into the, as I was talking about, what the dudgrass does by shielding from X-ray rays. People are getting a lot of cancer because of the microwave food and the bottled water and the heat that is hitting the bottled water and making the bottle get weak because it is leaching into the water. When you drink it now, you are having other problems. Kush grass blocks the X-ray rays. The sun is too hot. When you sit on it, when you wear it, when you have it on your body. Think about the guy who's doing his Janim Sanskara. Have you ever seen how they make the Janim with the kush grass and they plait it like rope? The things that we use in worship, scientific value as medicinal and natural value. If the person is doing prayer to Lord Vishnu, I went to Bhagat one time, I saw how they plant the down on the Govardhan hill. Do you remember that? Have you seen that? This when they are doing certain puja, where the parais they will put mung bean and the mung starts to sprout. If I put the unbroken sprouts and offer that to Mahavishnu in the prasad, as well as an offering for the asana around where he's sitting, the person will always gain honor. So when people are applying for promotion, when people are applying for advancement, for job, for contract extension, they use these methods. Person is what they want. Just a couple of more before we go where the fig tree part is. A person who offers datri leaves. Datri leaves are the Indian gooseberry fruit. Myrobalam. It is something we use in a lot of different things and herbal stuff to eat in New York on Liberty Avenue. If you take the leaves of this thing and offer it, whatever you are praying for, you're going to get it. The person who offers Mahavishnu the bay leaves, the flowers, the white variety of the thorny apple. Thorny apple is what? Datura stramonium. Datura stramonium is datur flowers, but the white variety. You get that flower and you offer it to Lord Vishnu together with bay leaf, and offer what we call sunflower seeds. And when you have the family member who is ailing, sickly, and you are praying for that person to get mukti, salvation, forgiveness, maybe they're suffering. You know, sometimes we know the machinery is keeping them alive. We know they are fighting, we know they are suffering, and you want something so that the soul is going to shift off, because there comes a point where we need to pray like that for the benefit of the soul. This is one example where the person is not going to suffer. So sometimes what people do, when in my younger days, I'm praying, dear God, I don't want to suffer, I don't want to end up in Pampas, I don't want to end up an invalid. You offer the white thorny apple, meaning the flowers of the white datur plant, the flowers of the sunflower, or the seed of the sunflower plant, and the bay leaves to Lord Krishna, and pray that, dear God, do not allow me to become invalid or in such a way that I am dependent on others. That person who does laddu or ball, mix together sugar and whole wheat flour, when a person has made certain types of mistakes, forgiveness is given to such an individual. He continues to describe what could be done in the month of Vaishak, again February to March. But now he says, the wise person, knowing all these things that I have described to you, Jaimani, the wise person goes in the presence of the fig tree and worships this individual called Lord Vishnu. Let's hear what happens when Germany now wants to know more about this fig tree. Hari Narayana Govinda Keshava Madhava Gopala. Hari Narayana Govinda Keshava Madhava Gopala. Sachatam Sundarvaryatam Ashwata Kayamundate Drishtaye Sagunaye Pausham Ye Yatam Vishnu Rupate. Hari Narayana Govinda Keshava Madhava Gopala. Hari Narayana Govinda Keshava Madhava Gopala. Shri Vishnu Bhagwan ki Jai. Vishnu Bhagwan says, this month of Vaishak is a month that when a person does worship, it gives all the fruits, whatever you prayed for, a person can achieve it in that month. If a person should worship Lord Vishnu for a day in Vaishak, he attains the blessings as if he had done so for 6 years. If a person should worship the fig tree every day in the month of Vaishak, he is secure in all the 4 goals of this human life. That's calm, crude, and all these other. That person who worships the fig tree with handfuls of water under the fig tree becomes freed of sins. The person who worships the fig tree and offers water by the root. Imagine I go to water my plants and I'm offering water by the root of the fig tree. That person, when there's great sickness in the skin of the person, they would be able to overcome it. And by doing this type of salutation, they are able to also increase their lifespan. There's no doubt of this. For Germany, the person who molds the root of the fig tree to secure maybe flood waters, maybe whatsoever is happening, molds the plant, maintains the plant, that person, his family, is saved from all forms of accidental death. Since this fig tree is the form of Mahavishnu himself, only a fool would disrespect this tree, hurt this tree. This purifying tree, therefore, should never be hurt. For this reason, whenever a person is going to cut down, meaning to say, cut, we harvest the fruit and we want to cut it now to allow fresh fruit to grow, fresh tree to sprout, there is a way to do it. It is not that we don't trim the peepar tree or we don't trim the tulsi tree, because it very clearly states in Skampura that one of the most purifying things to put into a coffin when we have the Anteshti Sanskar ceremony or the funeral is the branches or the roots of the tulsi plant. So Baba, how do I cut this? For example, if I, at TNTech or the electrical company, has to come to cut a peepar tree in the district, they would say, Babs, we need you to come and say a thing or do your thing, their words, do your thing. Even if they are not Indian or Hindu. When you're in a field and you know danger, everybody knows danger. Get the pundit to come and say something here before we cut that tree. There are many discourses about handling a peepar tree wrongly and it causes trouble. Likewise, tulsi. If you desecrate that, it brings about impoverishment. Likewise, now, please listen, if you did not know this, please remember. I have my aunt living, I have an aunt living in Florida now. And one thing I admire about them, they maintain their little fig plant, and I applaud the people in those countries that have the wind, especially in the States where they make the effort to maintain their little tulsi plant and their fig tree, and they mine it like gold, watering it, maintaining it, putting it by the windowsill so that it will get sun, so that it will grow, and it is kept so that when season comes again they will have it. What a blessing for this type of activity. But because of when you have to cut the tree, usually prayers is uttered to Lord Vishnu. Please, dear Prabhu, allow us to trim your tree, and we pull that tree closer to the root, so it is recycled material now for new sprouts to come. You are not killing the tree. Very rare you would see somebody cut down a fig tree and maybe use tar to paste onto the root stump so that new growth is allowed. That is not to be done. You can shape it, but don't make it as a sin. Form a person should bow to this fig tree. Yamraj himself, that person who goes and kills a tree like the fig tree. Kills, not cut. Cutting is what we have to do in order for the tree to bring back fresh growth, fresh fruit. There are many sins, O Jaimani. Those that steal, those that commit abortion, those that harm cows, those that commit adultery, those that cheat friends, those that break confidence, those that kill their husbands or their spouse, those that don't fast, those that kill the fig tree are on par with each other. Therefore, don't make this mistake. For instead of getting blessing, the person would be receiving sin. Let's join together now as Jaimani wants to know more about this fig tree. Prabhu, he says, could you please tell me the importance of the fig tree and its history? Where does this come from? Where does this establish its place in our prayer? And who gave this pronouncement? Nanda Dulari Radha Pyare Kunja Bihari Shama Murari. Nanda Dulari Radha Pyare Kunja Bihari Shama Murari. Tata Tata Vishnu Tambra. When you pass the exam and you make her proud, that same mother is very loving. Same mother. Likewise, God is such a God. In this section, he says, I want to test him to see if his resolution is firm. Lakshmi Mata says, tell me, what are you going to do? She says, he says, I'm going to take away all his wealth that he has earned with great difficulty. I'm going to take away piece by piece all that he has to eat. I'm going to rob him of his home. Great fire came. Great amount of bandits and thieves came and stole all that he had. And the thieves so brazen and bold-faced, they took even his food too. His family has very little. But the Brahman continued and persevered that dear Lord Vishnu, did you see what they did? They took all, God, but you are in charge. It will come back. You are in charge. The Brahman continued, even in this restriction now, where there's less money, there's less prasad, fruits to offer in his prayer. What little he had, whatever was in season, whatever was on the trees, he would still offer those things, and continued to light his diya. He continued to persevere. He continued with his devotion. And he would do little odd jobs so that he would be able to secure the money so that his worship would not be stopped. But then Mahavishnu continued to test him, and now he gives sickness to his children. Good and bad comes from that God. There are some people tonight looking on that have tears in their eyes because of what is happening in your family. And I cannot take away the pain, but I can help give you solace. Listen to the workings of God. When you and I think that we know God and His work and His plan, think again. He sends sickness to the children, and one by one, this father lives to see of his 5 sons, they all perish. But the Brahman continues to worship Lord Vishnu. May you bless them wherever they are, God. May you bless their souls. May you take care of them. May you secure them. May they know through your grace that I love them and I wish them happiness. May they not go through any type of pandemic, any type of predicament in their next birth. He held on. Through all this distress, he held on. The wife, by the maya of Mahavishnu, she becomes overwhelmed by all this hardship. And the same person who what was promised, made promises that through thick and thin, sickness, poverty, the last vow, when the boy is asking the girl, he says, if hardship is poverty, if losses be mine, if hunger be mine, do you promise to share this fate with me? As a wife, do you remember making that promise? As a husband, do you remember asking that vow? The girl asks for 7 things, the boy asks for 5, but the last thing the boy says, today maybe I have a job, but tomorrow I don't know what could come. You're marrying me today, will you stay with me tomorrow? And of course, all the beautiful brides out there, you said yes. But dear devotees, not everybody is that committed. And she became afflicted, grief-stricken by the loss of her children, depressed and distraught. She now looks to the husband as a loser, as a lost person, a jinxed person, a bad person, and she decides to leave him too. In this hardship, things are becoming harder and harder for him. And he still holds to his prayer. One day, now he cannot afford to go to the puja store like me and you and buy a bundle of wood to do his havan. So he looks out and he's wondering, what can I use to offer my little burnings, my little offerings, my little samagri to my Lord Vishnu. I must do my prayer. I must get something to light, to offer the light of arati to my God. So he looks and he sees a huge fig tree. And he goes with his axe and he started to cut, without saying prayer, he started to cut all the branches, all the dry leaves. And he cut the branches of the tree, the green ones, to lay down where his worship would be. And he took the dry ones and he fashioned wick out of some, and he fashioned little pieces to make a little fire. It would burn out quickly, but it would light nonetheless, except the little offerings. He used that fire to also start fire to ward off the cold months, the cold weather in India, in the month of Falgun, February. You wouldn't believe that same country that could be so hot, how cold it could be in that month, January, February time. and he's trembling by this fire. And once, while he's trimming the fig tree on another day, from that fig tree, something happened. Let's hear. Devaki Nandana Govinda Kana Kanhaiya Gopala Devaki Nandana Govinda Kana Kanhaiya Gopala Devaki Nandana Govinda Satam Vishnu Gadadara Tam te bhyaye vrikshatam ye ashvat madhav ye yatam udayatam margaye yati Devaki Nandana Govinda. Everybody sing with us. Sing with me tonight as we chant the name of Krishna. Devaki Nandana Govinda Kanha Kanhaiya Gopala Devaki Nandana Govinda Kanha Kanhaiya Gopala Devaki Nandana Govinda. Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lala Ki Jai. Imagine you and I, because we don't know the value of that fig tree. We see it in our prayers, we see it planted in our prayers, but we don't know the value. Lord Vishnu comes out of a fig tree whilst he was trimming the tree, but he had a little distressing look on his face. In front of the Brahman, when he saw Lord Vishnu appear, 4 hands, his eyes are like lotus flowers. He wore his yellow dhoti, the earrings that he knew in the murti, the hair that was flowing, the weapons that he knew, the dark skin we spoke about that night. But the blood was flowing from his body. The Brahman, tears of joy starts to flow from his eyes to see his Lord in front of him. So he's looking at him this way. And he starts to pray, Hey Govinda, Hey Damodara, Hey Madhava, Hey Lakshminath, Hey Keshava, Hey Keshani, Keshani, Nath, Narayan, Achyutam, Achyutaya, O Prabhu. I bow to you again and again. Such a great sinner am I, that I am so lucky that I get to see you. I am too sinful, Prabhu. I am so sinful, I am lost, losing everything, my family life, my money, my home. How is it you came to me? I did not do any type of worship for you, dear God. I do not have gold to give you, like what you gave in the Gita book. I have no brains to give you. But you have given me this tree, and I was using this tree to maintain your worship, and today from this tree you have come. Oh Prabhu, all I am praying for is mukti now, because everything in my life has been lost. Vyas Muni says, Brahman ji praying to Jagannath, Jagannath, Jagadishwar, Anamaya, all these mean him. Together with his clasp like this, and his tears are rolling down his face. Imagine in your darkest moment God appeared in front of you. The Brahman then looked to his feet, to see the feet, the charan of Lord Vishnu. As I keep talking about charan amrit, he wants to see his feet, he wants to go to bow. He says, Prabhu, what type of sign is this? Strokes upon whip marks on your body, on your legs, on the sides, on his arms. And your clothing and your body is wet with blood. All the battles that you have fought, the wars that you have waged, dear God, with all the demonic people. Listen to this, everybody. With all the demons. Oh Lord, who on this earth is able to kill you and make you bleed? Who has the opportunity to do this to you? This is something that is great and mystical. I cannot imagine such a person. Lord Vishnu says, you have spoken the truth. Undoubtedly, you have spoken the truth. Neither a demon nor a fiend could kill me, O Brahman. But when you damage without proper prayer, without proper mantra, without proper cause of Trinity, when you damage this holy fig tree and you cut me for no good reason with your axe, now I'm bleeding. Vishnu Bhagwan ki Jai. He says, my form is that fig tree. Don't be confused with the tulsi plant. The tulsi plant, excuse me, the tulsi leaf is something that we use in his worship, but his form is the fig tree. Hearing these words, poor Brahman becomes distressed with fear. He censored himself. Dear God, how unfortunate am I, this great sinner, to cause you pain, to cause you grief. Lord Vishnu, you are the remover of all the sin and all the pain of everybody. And I cause you pain. There is no place for me. There is no mukti for me after doing this type of act. To see your blood, dear God, the demons pray for moments like this. And they can't do it. How can you be distressed because of me? Oh, I am doomed. I am a sinner. My heart is full with pain and shame that I, who have been attempting to do your worship, I'm such a hypocrite that I would cause you pain. The same person I'm asking to take away my pain, my family life, to liberate my dead children. Oh Prabhu, forgive me. Speaking like this, he held on the axe now to his neck and he's ready to rip across his throat, his gullet, his pharynx. And Lord Vishnu held on to the axe, being so happy. Lakshmi Mata appears on the side of Lord Vishnu and she says, Prabhu, show mercy. Show mercy. He is genuine. He's ardent. He's diligent. Show mercy. Seeing this great devotion, this great feeling and this emotion and faith, so much love, so much bhav, that he feels that he's responsible for his Vishnu's pain. This is the Lord and the universe. But he does not look at him as somebody who is impervious to everything. He feels that is my Vishnu. That is mine. This is my personal Vishnu. And I have caused him pain. And with that type of childlike love, Lord Vishnu is won over. He says, what are you doing? Why are you doing this dreadful act? Do you know I am never pleased with men that commit suicide? I am pleased with devotion. Don't have no fear. Instead, he says, ask for a boon. Ask for a gift. Let me give you something. Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. There are many people, somebody asked me a question recently. What are we supposed to do when we have suicide? I want to make it very clear that Hinduism does not support suicide in any form. In a form where somebody dies by suicide, unfortunately, and I am not picking on anybody or I don't want to harp on any hurtful memory, please forgive me, but I am saying it so that everybody would know. What is to be done when we have a suicide case? You are just supposed to dispose of the body, burn the body. And you have to wait for special moments like how I spoke about Vaishak, when Pitra Paksh, when a Dig Mass comes, for those people that have suicide case in your family. You're not supposed to do Shraddh like what we are accustomed to. To be honest, people do it because to give family members. But the prayer itself, the Shraddh, is pointless because the person has caused self-damnation. God gave you 60 years and because of 16 years now you have some stress, whatever that stress is, and or mental instability, because mental problems are real, and you end your life, unfortunately, this is just the protocol. And when the disposal of the body will allow the ashes to go in the water, and you wait for these times, like at the mass, Pitrapaksh, where for shroud, different type of shroud could be done, and the person is going to receive help. There is opportunity when time has passed for the person to do Bhagavad, and in the Bhagavad, a brown, not a normal white color cow, a brown looking cow with sprouting horns are given. Sometimes, depending on the nature of the death, the way they died, how long it took to do the funeral, these factors, the cow could be different colors, different make, different model, male, female, etc., depending on the family situation. Why these things are being done? They are usually done because, well, that person died, and we are seeing signs or tribulations in the family, such as people can't get pregnant, the children are dying, premature death, etc., and or we are having unrestful nights, lack of peace in the home, the family is, gone to tatters, and want to refund. So in that case, just to answer the question, I am saying yes, that we don't do the regular rites, but I'm also saying that there are things that could be done that are specific for those type of people. This is something that is echoed in Gard Puran when Prabhuvana, the king, has to do Narayan Bali Puja to assist the soul of a lost spirit who did not get proper rites when he had died. That is one example. There's examples in Bhagavad and other things. So for the people that are, because of unfortunate, beyond your control, I understand that, you have family members that have died, there's still things that you can do. For the young children and for those people that are going through distress, please reach out and talk to somebody. That may make myself clear. Somebody asked me today, how come you just give out your phone number? And I'm trying. I had a very busy day today. I took some calls and I tried to text some people back. Within my remit, I do what I can, first of all. When my dad died and my mother was reaching out for help, there were many pundits, and my dad died at 12. When I was 12, he was 14. Cancer, he died in 95. So in those days, it wasn't a type of cancer that people knew a lot about. I don't know how much they know about it now, pancreatic cancer. And it was sudden. He went from a very healthy man to a dead man in the space of a week, a little more than a week. So my mother was calling and they didn't have texting, but sending letters in those days, calling people and begging for help. And the reaction was substandard, and it was as if, well, say a prayer and hope for the best. And I saw my mother, she was 31 years old. And she at first when he died, she was depressed. Thank God for my grandparents. I always say how much they did for us. They supported us and maintained us. But when I became a pundit, my mother told me, because I started doing prayers when I was 13, when Daddy prayers concluded, because we were born vegetarian, Gosine family. And my mother says, you're going to become a pundit. When you go into people's life, you give your best and do better than what we were given. Pray. Just bring up with you. Go into people's lives and make that difference. So I'm giving you the backstory. And I'm saying this because I mean what I'm saying. If you need to talk, if you need to, because I deal with everybody, all kind of stories, and it remains confidential. Because, just to show you, this is the day I got my genuine. The belly was smaller then. This is my grandfather. Somebody I loved so much. And there's mommy in the middle feeding me as part of the prayer. That's just between me and you, sharing something. But my mother made me who I am and the type of pundit. You don't learn this in pundit class. Going and sitting by the guru, and you learn about the prayers. Pandit Krsna from Sisters Room, Trinidad. I remember I was learning how to set for prayers in those days, how to prepare as a now, if you want to call it. how to prepare for prayers, how to make everything, how to do everything. And being around him, he says one night, come, let me start to do mantras now. Until this day, Pandit Krsna, well, Pandit Anand from New York, Pandit Gauri, Pandit Parashana, people that I love, people that I respect because they made me who I am. And they taught me that you have to have patience and love. Don't get me wrong, I have a temper, I'm not perfect. And you have to have love and patience with people, especially when they need help. When people come at you, when young people come at you with the need, if it is just to talk, because sometimes you don't want nobody lecturing you. Sometimes it's just, hush. Baba, hush. After you talk. I am saying, I am here for that. That's why I love WhatsApp. WhatsApp, you could send me a voice note where you alone talk. I can't talk. And I just have to listen. There's a guy looking on tonight named Ramadas. He's a wicked boy. He's a troublesome boy. But he's very knowledgeable of his Dharma. And when he's sending me voice notes, devotees, I'm telling you, 17 voice notes, one after the other. And me and Mommy Baba are always laughing because the way he explains himself and puts across a point, you have to laugh. It's not traditional. Tonight, if you, as a younger person, and I'm talking straight to you, especially my younger people, if there's a person who is gay, if you are a homosexual person, you're hiding, and there's nobody to talk to me. Get my number, message me, there's a link on Facebook, join me and let's talk. Talk. That's all. If there's a person going through divorce, if you're a Mangalic person and you can't get married, if you're going through your trials in your job or your family, take a second and reach somebody who is willing to help. Because when you reach to suicide, because I hate to do funeral, I'll do it if I must, but I prefer fight with you in life. What could I do for you when you die? I would still do Shroud, I would still do that. I love to help people. But what could I do on the day when you die? Not much, truthfully. Let me help you when you are alive. Do not make this mistake. Hinduism does not advocate suicide. I'm saying it just to emphasize the point. Parents that live, that have to survive that suicide, it is very hard, very difficult to make sense of this movement. Vishnu Bhagwan ki Jai. He says, oh Brahman, give me your devotion. Don't do this. Don't commit suicide. The Brahman says to him, with this pain that I caused you, I don't want to remain in this body. Let me go and start to pay for my sins in hell, in Nara. Because I am not going to Vaikuntha. Listen to the words now. Listen to the words of Lord Vishnu. He says, but you acted in ignorance. You did not know that this fig tree is my form. Blessed are you who will maintain the fig tree, that will have the fig tree in your worship. And this is where the practice of having the fig tree in the Bedi comes from. The person should always maintain me in their place of prayer. Look, when this is finished, look in your prayer room, find your Satyanarayan pit there, and you will see the fig tree is there. But somebody asked me a question, is it really supposed to be in the Bedi? And the answer is yes and no. Yes and no. We place it in the Bedi so that it was convenient to touch. We place it in the Bedi when we have Yagna, definitely. We place it in the Mandak around the Bedi sometimes because of space on the Bedi. If you plant it in the Bedi, which is not wrong, make sure your Bedi is deep enough so that the plant is not dying. You should, even if you have prayer for one day, what I would advise everybody nowadays, get a little pot, plant your fig tree to keep it alive. Because in that small pot you can offer your dar, as this Brahman is doing. You can worship Lord Vishnu, put up flowers and offer your dar, even when you are not doing full-blown puja. When you have your puja now and your Baba is coming home by you, you can have your little fig tree. I have mine for my Bedi, and little Vishnu Baba is there on the bedi, and the tree is not dying. Remember, the problem is killing the tree. So when you hear older people, and this is where I'm answering a question for somebody, is it wrong to cut the fig tree without the root? And this is the problem. When you cut out the root, you have killed the tree. There's no way that tree could bloom. And this is the emphasis that I'm placing on this. When you're going to dig out a sprout or a sucker of the young fig tree to place into the bedi, put this fig tree in a pot so that it will sprout and grow and you can maintain it. And then you will have the fig tree that you need. It's less work for you, so that you don't have to go and dig up the bedi, etc., etc. Especially if you are one of those that only pray now and then, don't kill your fig tree. Then somebody asked, Baba, does it have to have 5 leaves? The 5-leaf thing just shows that the tree is not this. It is not as the suckers on the main onto the outer like this. It is not this. Just a little. Some people want to plant this in the bedi. So what they tell you, it must have leaves. The 5 is really coming from 5 element. We use the 5 in the 5 ticker we put on the bamboo, but it is not written that it has to have 5. So if you look at the same Satyanarayana Pitya, you will see the trees are tall as if they are, big full-grown trees. So in a case like that, I just want you to understand that once the tree has sprouted the leaves like this, what it does say, it is now able to respire, because the transpiration and the respiration happens on leaf, and the leaf is able to open like this. It is a living, breathing entity, and by worshipping, by putting the water, the plant will pull up the water because it has roots, and in doing so, you are able to maintain this plant that will give the blessing. So even if your fig tree is very small or very big, if for those of you that ask which is the fig tree, depending on the puja that you have, the planting is usually here. I think there's a verse that explains that when, I know Pandit Parashram from Avocat, when he's doing Pindadan and Shrad, he would tell the devotees, I don't know if you ever had the experience, to boil, Guru Mai tells you how to boil the rice, and they put plantain in there, and they mash it, and the gum from the plantain, when they bring it together now, it's a little messy, but the pinda is made, and the reason for it in a different text, it says that the plantain fruit, the fig, is used to substitute in a time when people used to use, as I said last night and night before, the meat that they used to make in ball form. This is a vegetarian version of that, and you get the blessings as if you have done that type of gift giving to the devatas, depending on the puja that you're doing. I know he does it in Shraddha. Then if you have different type of gra, and you use the fig tree that we locally would call the chiquito fig or the finger fig like this, and we fry it and boil it and things. Gummy shell fig has different benefit. And then there's the ornamental fig tree. The ornamental fig tree is used a lot in Hanuman worship, and people use it by their homes to ward off bad. The ornamental fig is the fig that the flower and the little fig is like this, and the flower is up like this in a big. So if I get a picture, I know Mommy Baba has some in the yard, I'll take some pictures and I'll sell it for you. And you'll see it on Facebook and in the group, the various types. For me, when I'm doing press personally, I like to use what we call the gourd fig or the ornamental fig, because of the flowers so nice and pretty and very small, easy to handle. The trunk doesn't get too big, it's very thin and it remains in a nice patch, so you can maintain it and cull it as you need. When you use these things, it brings a certain amount of Vishnu to the bedi. It brings a certain amount of purity to the bedi. It brings value to your prayer. But it does not have to be the 5-week. That is just an interpretation by man. The book says once the tree has the leaves to respire, once it is not dying, if the trunk of the tree is this big, please bear with me. The root, to get that to grow inside a Yagyashala, it would be too much and the tree would wilt and die. So you go for a tree, but not too young. That is the focus. It must have a little maturity so that when you plant it, it must be able to maintain for the duration of the yagna, the wedding, whatever you have. So if a person goes to decorate, one of the descriptions of our yagna is to decorate with fig plant, with fig trees. Because today we are hearing the value of this. We are hearing the value of the Vishnu's plant, the fig plant. And when you put it, it's as if he's standing there. He says, You have made no error. Every day I see the errors my children make, and I forgive them when they reform. When they reform. So if you, typical thing, sometimes you see people side the road urinating on a fig tree, stop that. You don't have a fig tree, get one. You have puja, nobody have to tell you. You can be doing what puja you want. Put your fig tree, that's for your blessings. Lord Vishnu is here. That is what that plant is for. There is no rule that says you don't bring. It says in Ganesh Puja, you don't bring, for those people that are doing Ganesh Utsav, Brahmavaivatparam, the last chapter in Ganapatikan. When they give each other shrap, he says, from today, you are barred from my puja. Tulsi is good. Tulsi has a lot of benefit. But in that section, he says, because you and I have given shrap to each other, you will be beneficial to every other devta, but not to Ganesh Baba, not to me, and not when my Yagna is going on. So when people are putting Ganesh Baba as the Pradhan, he's in every prayer. But when he's the main devta, when he's sitting on the flag, when he's the Murti in the Vedi, then Tulsi Mata is not brought in. But fig tree does not have rules that say, for whatever reason, you don't bring the fig tree in the puja. Worship the fig tree. Get into the habit of cleaning the fig tree, and trimming the dry leaves off the fig tree is not going to kill the tree. So you are maintaining the tree, and that brings about blessing by maintaining the lifespan of that tree. When you cut your fig, share. Long time we had a practice. I will keep, how much fig I will eat? Baba, I will eat 2 hands. I will send one by the neighbor, send one for my family. I'll leave 2 fig on the counter. How many of you are able to feed birds with figs? One of the reasons why we use so much of fig, besides the Vishnu link, a fig is something that is filled with potassium. In Trinidad, we play with our diet. We are not very healthy people. But when we look at the cornflakes box, we see fig in the cornflakes. Because of the amount of potassium, this ingredient keeps the birds chirping. Once you take potassium,